Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into No Huddle Rodeo. You are watching here on the US Cowboy YouTube channel. Before we do anything today, like, subscribe, leave a comment, help us spread the word of this show so we can get it to more people. Continue to do it and all have a good time there. We would really appreciate that here at US Cowboy. We are broadcasting, as always, from the Fort Worth Stockyards, from our headquarters there. And we are brought to you, as always, by Justin Boots and Runyon's Fine Furniture. And we have 30 days or so and change, about a month left of the PRCA regular season. And this is where world title races heat up, obviously. Bubble races heat up, obviously. And just the entire season gets a lot more fun. And with some of these new events, like we talked about last week, it will continue to be more and more fun as the Pro Rodeo regular season continues to pay big money down the stretch. We got a lot coming at you today on No Huddle Rodeo. We're going to break down the biggest story from each of the three playoff rodeos. That's the Horse Heaven Roundup, the Golden Spike Rodeo in Tremonton, Utah, and the Kitsap Stampede. Kitsap Stampede and Horse Heaven Roundup, both in Washington. We'll break down the season that Jess Pope is having so far, more specifically, the summer that he is having so far as he barrels toward another NFR qualification. And finally, we will finish it out with the Calgary Stampede team roping, the Rocky Mountain Cup, an interesting standalone event there north of the border that had big world title implications. But first, like I said, we're going all the way to Kennewick, Washington. And we've got Will Loomis. That's the biggest story of the Horse Heaven Roundup. He is number one in the steer wrestling. He's been number one for about 2.5, 3 weeks. And last weekend, he was incredibly impressive. He finished second in 2 rodeos to extend that number one ranking to about $10,000, that lead over Tucker Allen, the guy who had held it since his win in Rodeo Houston. Well, at Kennewick, the highest paying rodeo of the weekend, Will Loomis made about $10,000, a little over $10,000. He turned in runs of 3.8, 4.6, and 3.4 to win the average by about 0.7 of a second over Ty Erickson. He was 11.8 on 3. With all of that, he now leads the world standings over Tucker Allen by about $20,000. He also now has $159,000. And why is that important? Well, last year, he entered the NFR with about $148,000. He was number 4 in the world when he entered the NFR. Will Loomis finished number 2, as he has 3 of the last 4 years. We've mentioned that before. He finishes number 2, but he only finishes number 2 by $1,500 behind JD Struxness, who was only $1,500 behind Will Loomis entering the NFR. So if he places one spot higher in any round at the NFR, and JD Struxness places one spot lower at any round in the NFR, Will Loomis would have been your 2024 world champion. And now remember, that is when he entered the NFR with $148,000. Right now, number 1 in the steer wrestling with $159,000. So if everything else was equal at last year's NFR, and Will Loomis entered with the $159,000 that he has already won, and obviously he can add to it over the next month of the season. But if he entered with just that $159,000, he would have been your PRCA world champion. So we'll show you the entire top 6 right now, all of your world title contenders as it stands right this second. But Will Loomis, for all of those reserve world champion years, he has never entered the NFR number 1. He leads Tucker Allen by about $20,000, Jesse Brown by about $27,000, Rowdy Parrott by about $43,000, Tyler Wagasback by $45,000, and the man who bested him last year, JD Struxness, by $52,000. So Will Loomis in control and only getting better at that number one spot. He's only gotten better since he took over number one. He's got 10 runs of 4.2 or faster in August. And again, he leads the world standings by $20,000. And that might be what it takes for Will Loomis to get over that hump finally, is to have a big lead entering the NFR. Now we're going to Utah. And we're going to Utah. We're going to the Golden Spike Rodeo. And who are we talking about there? We're talking about Stetson Wright. And we are specifically talking about the saddle bronc rider, Stetson Wright, because Stetson Wright was outside the top 15 in the saddle bronc riding a month ago. At the beginning of August, about 3 weeks ago, he was number 15, right in the final spot. Well, in less than a month, he has won about $60,000. He has won 6 saddle bronc ridings, 6 rodeos in the saddle bronc riding in August. Again, he wins the Golden Spike Rodeo, like we mentioned. And with all of that, he's moved up 6 spots to number 9 in the world. So he is not only safely in the national finals field, as it stands right now in the saddle bronc riding, but his bronc riding has ended up making the difference right now in that all-around race. As Wacy Shala continues to push into that top 15, it looked like that could be a big X factor. What if Wacy Shala makes the NFR in 2 events and Stetson doesn't? Well, Stetson, by going 18 of 19 for an average score of 86.5 points and winning $60,000 and turning in 14 rides of 85 points or better, Stetson Wright has retaken full control of that all-around race. When, again, if he wins by a bunch in the all-around, which he could, it could still be close, but he could win by a bunch. Who knows? But if he does win that all-around race, the history books will not show how close it got at one point. And especially if he wins the bull riding world title and the all-around. The history books may not show how important Stetson Wright's saddle bronc riding was to this whole puzzle. Well, I'm here to tell you it was incredibly important. He was the most important winner this weekend, and that will be what sets him over the edge to win the all-around this year. And again, now the saddle bronc race, far from over. He is in the top 10 there. But like I mentioned, there will not be a lot of notes that told you that for most of the season, Stetson Wright was not in NFR contention in the saddle bronc riding. He very much is now. He is number 9 in that event now as we head toward the final month of the regular season. Now, the last rodeo, to the most important winner, back to Washington in the Kitsap Stampede. This one is all about the bubble. It's Bryce Jensen, 89.5 points to win over $6,000 in the bull riding. He goes from number 18 to number 14 in the world as he is looking for his first NFR at just 20 years old. And Kitsap was his big prize weekend. However, he also rode for 88 points at the Horse Heaven Roundup. He was 86 at the Kitsap Extreme Bulls. He won over $4,700 at both of those rodeos. So it was a $15,000 plus weekend for Bryce Jensen. And right now, if you're looking at the guys in the bubble in the bull riding can change really fast by just getting hot, and you can kind of go one of 2 ways. So Bryce Jensen, one of those guys on the rise, because he has made a dozen qualified rides in the month of August. And he has gotten paid for a ride in the 60s in Canby. That got him paid. A ride in the 70s in Caldwell. That got him paid. And so Bryce Jensen gets a big win to pay this all off. But he's also a really, really good example of what can happen in the bull riding. Again, novel idea. Stay with me on this. If you just stay on bulls. If you stay on bulls this time of the year at some of these bigger rodeos, that might get you $1,500. That might get you $2,000. That might get you $3,000. Either way, regardless of what it pays you, it pays you. It keeps you going down the road. And you don't need me to remind you that this time of year, if you are ranked number 14 specifically, every single dollar and cent will count. So Bryce Jensen getting every single one of those dollars and cents. And for the time being, he is on the proper side of the bubble. A guy who has had no trouble making the NFR, He has made every NFR since 2020. He has been terrific when he has made those NFRs. He has won 3 average titles. That's Jess Pope. And so remember what I just told you, that Jess Pope won 3 straight average titles from 2020 to 2022 because he's the hottest bareback rider in the country right now. He could have easily replaced Bryce Jensen in the segment we just did as the most important winner from the Kitsap Stampede, which he did with 87.5 points. He was also 83 and 90 over the weekend at the Horse Heaven Roundup, making it a $10,000 plus weekend for him across just 2 rodeos, which is huge for a bareback rider. Put less miles on you, both physically traveling the miles, but also taking less of a beating this time of year as you head into Rough Rider Cup, Governor's Cup, Cinch playoffs, all of those rodeos that it's important to be healthy. Again, we've seen that with the bareback riders really managing their schedules to be healthy heading into those situations. So he is healthy both mentally for the lack of miles traveled, both those rodeos in Washington, healthier physically, and that has moved him to number 3 in the world. He's got about $172,000, and he is about $1,000 behind Bradley Miller. And I am willing to tell you right now that Jess Pope is Rocker Steiner's biggest challenger for that world title. Rocker's got a big lead in the world standings. Don't get me wrong. He leads those world standings by $50-ish thousand, $70-ish thousand right now. But remember what I just told you. Rocker Steiner, a guy who wins rounds at the NFR, but has never really been in the average race in his NFR career. Jess Pope, on the other hand, is always in the NFR average race. He's won it 3 times. He pushed Keenan Hayes a couple years ago. He had this past year, Jess Pope had his worst finish in the world standings since he started making the NFR, and that was number 5. Number 3 in 2020, number 2 in 2021, number 1 in 2022, number 2 in 2023, number 5 in 2024. And now, like I said, back to number 3 in the world. Just had a big weekend, but he's had a lot of big weekends. Since June 19th, Jess Pope has won a check on at every single rodeo he has been to, but 2 of them. Every single one since June 19th. That includes his win in Reno. That includes a win in Prescott. That includes 4,900 for second in Livingston, 4,700 for winning Belfouche, 4,000 for second in Hermiston, 4,800 for second in Logan, 10,000 for second in Cheyenne. And as you can see, some wins, a lot of wins along there, but just a lot of solid rides. I've said it before on this show. Jess Pope, he'll just 86-point ride you to death. He'll 86.5 point you to death. That's what he does all summer long throughout his career. That's what he's doing all summer long this year. And that's what he does at the NFR. And if I told you right now, if you are Jess Pope and it's day 1 of the National Finals Rodeo, and I tell you, Jess, you can average 86 points. Would you take 860 through 10 rides? He'd probably say yes. And I think if Jess Pope was 860 through 10 rides, he would be at worst 3rd in the average, probably 1st or 2nd in the average. And that would pay him $60,000 to $80,000. And if all of those things happened, that would make up all of the ground Rocker Steiner had on him, or that he had to make up on Rocker, which I think, I'm not going to say it's likely, but you know, you do best case scenarios, worst case scenarios for things, and a reasonable scenario to believe would 100% be Jess Pope places top 3 in the average. Rocker Steiner doesn't get an average check. Then from there, it's all about your day money. And we'd have an awfully close world title race. I'll tell you that. So I'm telling you, it could still be Bradley Miller. It could still be Garrett Shadbolt, who's having the best year of his career. It could still be Cade Sanye and Dean Thompson, who have both been terrific in their minimal NFR experience, sitting there at number 6 and number 7, who push Rocker Steiner. But I'm telling you right now, Jess Pope, this is not even a prediction. I don't think it's going to happen. I feel very confident in saying Jess Pope, the way he's been riding all summer long, the way he rides in Las Vegas, the way he prepares, what could still happen down the stretch in the last 30 days of the regular season, Jess Pope is Rocker Steiner's biggest challenger as it stands today, August 27th, for the bareback riding world title. And remember, this is a guy who has done it before and who's been in contention pretty much every year since 2020. Lastly, before we get out of here, remember, they don't team rope in Calgary. So you can't win $50,000 in July team roping in Calgary. But what you can do is win $25,000 roping in August in Calgary. And that's what new pair Andrew Ward and Jake Long did. And these were guys who 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about them on the bubble. Could one of them make the NFR? Could one of them not? They are now both number 7 in the world, and they are both within one NFR average check of the number 1 spot in the PRCA World Standings, because they were 5 flat in the finals of the Calgary Stampede. Team roping on Sunday, just a one-day event, 5 flat, pays them $25,000, like I mentioned, both number 7 in the world. And for a look at how far they have climbed, Andrew Ward on July 1st, number 28 in the world. Jake Long on July 1st, number 32 in the world. And remember, if I give you 5 guesses, would you get this? Remember, Jake Long on the heel side, each of the last 2 years, he has been the reserve world champion. Andrew Ward, each of the last 5 years, has finished number 7 or better. So we've been talking top 3, top 4, top 5, all of these pairs for the team roping world title. Well, now I'm going to tell you the winners of the Calgary Stampede team roping, because, oh, by the way, do you think they brought bad pairs to the Calgary Stampede team roping? Do you think it was a weak field at the Calgary Stampede team roping? No, it was all the best pairs in the world, because of course it was. You could win $25K. And so for their first time as partners, a massive win against all of the best pairs in the world. And now consider Andrew Ward and Jake Long not only in the NFR together for the first time, but world title contenders. The same goes for the second place pair. Jade Corkill, Clint Summers. I should say it the other way around, because it's Clint Summers on the head side, Jade Corkill on the heel side. They are now number 6 in the world, both of them. And how did they get to number 6 in the world? Well, they both won $15,000 for second at this event. And now Clint Summers is $22,000 behind Tyler Ward, or behind Tanner Tomlinson, for number 1 on the head side. And Jade Corkill is about $30,000 behind Levi Lord for number 1 on the heel side. Both of those totals, less than 1 go-round winning check at the NFR, where we have seen Clint Summers be 3-4 before, where we have seen Jade Corkill be 3-3 before, not with each other, but they both have the ability to go about as fast as you possibly can in Las Vegas. And now Corkill, he came out of retirement for this. And these guys just have such interesting paths, because the last 5-6 years, let's go through it for Summers. Number 46, number 14, number 31, and then the last 2 years, he was Jake Long's partner. They just couldn't get over the hump, and they roped so well in Las Vegas. It was just their regular seasons that held them back, because as you can see there, number two, each of the last 2 full regular seasons, now number 6. For Corkill, an interesting path for him as well. Number 6, number 3, number 3, number 40, retired, and then number 6 again. And so those are your top 2 pairs of the Calgary Stampede team roping. One goes 5 flat to win $25,000. One goes 5-7 to win $15,000. One goes from Ward and Long, the bubble, to probably world title contention. Summers and Corkill go from on the outskirts of the top 10 to definitely world title contention. And now for the third place pair, of course, there's a storyline there because it's Levi Lord and Shea Dixon Carroll. And they factor in on both sides of this because Levi Lord is now number one on the heel side of the team roping. He and Coulter Todd going back and forth throughout the summer. But he really, it was Travis Graves and Coulter Todd going back and forth throughout the summer. I misspoke there. Levi Lord was comfortably at number 3, but now he surges to number 1, and he's got a bigger lead on Coulter Todd, who's number 2, than Todd or Graves have had all year, because he leads by about $12,000 because they won over $10,000 for third place. They also won the long round together, which paid $4,200. So easy math there, $14,200 for that pair over the weekend. And still just $30,000 separate number 1 and number 6. So we can't get too far ahead of ourselves. But like I mentioned, this is the largest lead that anyone has had in this team roping race all year long. And we talked about, what if Iga and Lord have to reunite because neither of their partners make it? But with this huge weekend, I was going to say huge win, but with this huge weekend, Shea Dixon Carroll now goes from number 14 to number 10. So not only a new number 1 in Levi Lord, but his partner appears to be on his way to the national finals. Rodeo, and remember we talked about it when Iga and Lord broke up. Their regular seasons were great. When they needed to, not necessarily when they needed to, but when the option was there, they were the fastest pair, the most consistently in pro rodeo. They just missed a lot at the finals. It's that simple. They did not rope well at the national finals. But now could Levi Lord, entering number 1, just like he had in the past with Iga Swiatek's partner, that has happened before, but now with a new partner and success in a place like Calgary, could that be what sets him apart and what wins him a world title? Obviously, we will find out in December, but storylines galore from that Calgary Stampede team roping, whether it be bubble contention, whether it be world title contention, whether it be new partners, guys coming out of retirement, other guys, Jake Long and Clint Summers, again, finished number 2 back-to-back years as partners. Will one of them now get over the hump and continue to surge forward with a new partner? I made predictions in the bareback riding. I made predictions about Jess Pope. I'm here to tell you, in the team roping, like I've said all summer, man, I got no idea. I have absolutely no clue. But if the race is anything like it was last year and the NFR was anything it was like last year in the team roping, I am going to enjoy the heck out of it. I'm also going to enjoy the heck out of the last month of this pro rodeo season. And I'm going to enjoy the heck out of bringing it to all of you here on the US Cowboy YouTube for the rest of the season. We're here every Wednesday on No Huddle Rodeo. Like, subscribe, comment. That helps us too. Hit the notification button so you get this to your YouTube homepage every Wednesday for the rest of the year. Because I promise you, if there's a time to hop on the bandwagon, it is now. This is where it gets to be fun. And to be quite honest with you, this is the time where I personally love to break it all down. And so we'll have world title races, we'll have bubble races, we'll have the Governor's Cup, we'll have the Rough Rider Cup, we'll have everything that matters here on the US Cowboy YouTube. We are presented, as always, by Runyon's Fine Furniture and Justin Boots. And one more time before we go, like, subscribe, comment, get us in the algorithm, tell a friend, share it, whatever you need to do. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to more and more people joining us on this journey home in the 2025 regular season. This is No Huddle Rodeo. I'm Brett Nierengarten. You are watching on US Cowboy. Stay tuned here for the rest of the week because we've got PBR Teams preview coming up tomorrow, but No Huddle Rodeo every Wednesday for the rest of the season, all September, October, and November long. we are bringing it to you, all of the pro rodeo action. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow for a little PBR, like I said, and we will see you next week for more No Huddle Rodeo.